The views of the guest are that of the guests and do not represent nor reflect the views and opinions of the Lockoutmen channel, the Recruiter Call channel, nor its host. This site content is for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only.
I got a good one for you guys. Listen and pay attention before you get on this ride with me. This female trucker from 18 wheels to 16 bars. She's conquering the American highways and the music world simultaneously. She's a new jack in the game. Meet our girl, Adrienne Cherrail, the truck driving songwriter who just captured the John Lennon Songwriting Award for her track Shots Burden. Today, we're riding shotgun with this lady who's breaking barriers in two industries at the same time.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Lockoutmen here, and I am in the presence of greatness right now. Greatness in the works. If it's not already great, this girl came from the bottom, went through some trials and tribulations, and now she's working her way up to the top. I am here with Adrienne Cherrail. How are you doing today?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Adrienne Cherrail started her career with Prime Inc. back in the day. That's where I came across her. She's a female truck driver that's been in the game for quite a while. She's a truck driver by day, but guys, this lady has a hot new track that's been out for quite a while, that's gaining a lot of steam. She's a singer-songwriter on her off time. Music is where her vibe is at right now. And I am glad to know this young lady. Her song right now, Shots Burden, just recently won the John Lennon Songwriting Award, placing her in the forefront of now to get another grand prize, which is $20,000. That's what we going for right now, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's what we going for.
All right, Adrienne. Okay. Congratulations on winning the John Lennon Songwriting Award for Shots Burden. Can you tell us what this recognition means to you?
Yes. Thank you, first of all, for having me and for recognizing my gifts and my talents. What it means to me is that, it's priceless, honestly. It's not even a prize that can be put on how I feel about getting that recognition for using my heart and something that's coming from my core. So that's, it's priceless. I'm happy that I won. I'm happy that I was just able to write some lyrics and it came together and put that energy into a real dope track. And it was recognized, the John Lennon, rest his soul, but he was, basically the head of the Beatles, and his legacy lives on. So they have this contest every year where they allow hundreds of thousands of us to submit our songs, whether you rap, sing, or whatever. So me, I do a little bit of singing, but lyrical, kind of poetry. So, I do rap, which is rhythm and poetry, and I hold a tune. So I was like, you know what, let me have some faith and go ahead and submit this track and see what comes of it. So I did that in 2024. And, this month, 2025, I found out that I actually won the grand prize of it's $5,000 worth of studio equipment. And I'm in the running to go head to head against my competitor, which is in the same hip hop category. We'll go song against song and we'll see who comes out on the other side so we can get in the running to win this $20,000.
All right. So Adrienne, we talked some time that you was doing music way before you got into trucking. But how did you first get introduced to trucking and how long you been on the road?
Okay. Yeah. I first was introduced to trucking back in 2019. It was shortly after I had just went through an eviction, actually, and sitting on my mom's couch, stoned out of my mind, because back then I was smoking.
Smoke weed every day.
But I was stoned out of my mind trying to figure out what's the next power move? How could I save as much money, not have to pay no bills, and not live with nobody? And what do I like to do outside of writing music? And, I was an Uber driver at that time. I'm like, I love driving, but I just don't make enough money. And I one day was looking at TV and seeing this girl in a blue van. She was living out of her van. And I was like, man, I wish I had a van to live out of. I'd be rich. I'd save all my money and I'd buy me a house and I won't have to live with nobody, pay no bills and nothing. Then it hit me. And I got up and started running around the house and I knew exactly right then. That day I quit smoking weed.
Smoke weed every day.
I got on the phone with Prime Inc., called a recruiter, was like, I want to be a truck driver. And that's what got me started. So yeah, I've been driving for about 5 years now.
You mentioned that you was a heavy smoker.
Smoke weed every day.
You knew right off the rip that if you wanted to get into trucking, you knew that you had to stop right then and there.
I quit.
How long did you wait before you actually went to go and apply to Prime? I think Prime, did they do the hair follicles at that time?
They did not. That's exactly why I went with them. So it took me 30 days from that date that I said the day I found out I was going to be a truck driver, it was at the end of November 2019. I quit that. I quit.
Smoke weed every day.
The end of November. So basically you could say December 1st because it was the end of November. But I quit like December 1st. I got on the road with Prime January 17th. So I had finished everything by January 17th and I was on the truck.
So your system was cleared by January. 30 days.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I quit that day.
Okay.
And that day I started studying for she told me what to do. I called up there. I started studying for everything. I went to the DMV. I did my testing, did my physicals, got everything that I needed, got the permit. All they wanted you to have was a permit. And she said, once you get that permit, you just let us know when you're ready to go take a drug test for us and you'll be able to start. And I said, okay, I just need 30 days to study for my exam is how I put it. I said, I just need to study for my exam. Can you give me 30 days? And she said, yeah, just call us back after. And I started.
All right, guys, this is Adrienne Cherrail. She has a YouTube channel, which I have met her from. She goes by the moniker of AC the Mogul. That's where I actually found her and learned about her Prime journey. So if you guys want to know more about that, I will link our very first conversation with each other in the description below. Adrienne, listen, you've been in the music ever since you was young. You said that you was doing music since you was 8 years old. When did music become an important part of your life? Did it precede your trucking career or did it develop alongside of it?
I really love these questions. I love how prepared you are for this interview. That's a really good question because it hits me to my core. It definitely preceded the trucking. I started writing when I was 8 years old, and it was something that was introduced to me. I didn't really know what rap was at that time, and it's a little bit of a deep story. I'll try not to go too deep, but I'll say that the person that put me on to writing music was a female, and she was close to my family. And that was our first song. She just was like, you just got to make words that rhyme. And the first song we ever wrote was people need to open their eyes and realize it's a crime shame when these young kids die. Say what? People need to open their eyes and realize it's a crime shame when these young kids die. And we went from there. And it so happened that same person, was a part of the pain along my way, a deep part of the pain along my way.
Adrienne, we see that everything in your life, how you grew up, how you came about. Shout out to that young lady for introducing you to music and everything. But how has life, like all together, right? You also have your life on the road as well. How has all of that influenced your songwriting process?
So it just became something that I would do, kind of therapeutic, to not only escape the pain, but then also when I would go to school, I was like this nerdy kid with glasses, nappy hair, dirty clothes. Like I was not very well kept. So I was bullied often, very often, extremely bullied. So yeah, going back to starting with my childhood, but the main common denominator in all of it is pain, endurance, and adversity, and finding a way to express myself and get some type of release. So as a kid, like I say, the whole rap started and, I was having the pain at home that I was going through. Just to brush through it, I was going through molestation from a female and a male, both older than me. One was an adult. So it started there. Then I would go to school, like I say, with this unkept and uncared for and looking quite raggedy as a child and would be bullied. So music was my way of entertaining people, kind of getting on their good side. Because, once you start rapping, you're looked at like, wow, like, oh my God, she could do that. I had no idea she's incredible. It's like the exterior kind of just becomes invisible. All of the pain that you go through just becomes invisible. People look at you like you're incredible, no matter what it is, that you look like on the outside. So that's kind of where it started. And once I realized I had the power to grasp that type of attention, and it would take away from the bullying and the feeling threatened and all the things that I was going through, I kind of just used it in that way. And that's how I would kind of protect myself at school. I would grow up and do battle raps against different people in the cafeteria, and that was just my way of kind of blending in and not being bullied and fitting in and dealing with all the stress that I had. Now in my adult life, I kind of still do the same thing, except I'm not quite being bullied by students or anything like that, but life can bully us, right? Things
Yep.
can happen in our lives. Like I said, I went through an eviction, or there's hardships continuing every day. So now it's just like, if I feel stressed or I feel depressed, or I went through a heartbreak. It's been a year now since I went through a heartbreak, and I wrote that song. Or Shot Burdens, for instance. The lyrics of that song is about pain. So I'll just go to the second verse. Your lights, your water, and gas is cut off. Your boyfriend just dumped you, then you lost your job. Your dog just died, and your kids on your nerves. You so fed up and your feelings is hurt. 99 problems, take 99 shots. You still going out, you get dressed in my house. Money is paper, we'll get to that later. No worries, no worries. I do you a favor. Come to my house, come to my bar, we're bartending tonight. So it's like I'm kind of just trying to take their minds, take the pressure off and use a song. It sounds kind of sad in the lyrics, right? But when you listen to the song, the energy is so hype that you can't be sad. So I think Shot Burden is a perfect example of how I use my everyday pain and my everyday life to kind of transmute it into something that I feel happy about, and I can rock the crowd. And every time I sing that song in front of a crowd, they're shocked. It don't matter what I look like, even to this day, struggling with being overweight, or, it don't matter. Once I get that mic in my hand, it don't matter no more.
Shots Burden, man. And when I heard the song, I vibe to it every day. That's my favorite song. Next to another female trucker. She's an artist as well, and she has a nice little song that I vibe to too. Shots Burden is an intriguing title. Can you share the story behind the song and what inspired it?
Oh, I love this. This is you're doing phenomenal right now. So I'd say it all ties back into this whole entire interview and this whole entire conversation. So me and my best friend at the time, and she still is to this day, but life be lifing. But me and her at the time, I would go over to her house and we would kind of vent to each other. And we would be like, yo, let's take a shot. We're going to take a shot for every burden we got. So it was just like, yo, it just became a thing. Like, it just became like a thing that we would say, and we would laugh. And we'd be like, yo, you could get a bottle, come over here, sit on my couch, let's take some shots and just talk about whatever burden. For every burden we got, we're going to take a shot. So it started as something fun like that. And, it'll be, girl, this is happening and this is happening, take a shot. Oh, yeah, this is happening, take a shot. So it just became something that was fun to do, to kind of take your mind off of it, because neither one of us, nobody's alcoholic. That's not the point. You do everything in moderation, but that's how the gist of it started. And it just became, I also was a bartender, so it was just something to rock the crowd, get them to the bar, and also release everything that I was feeling and kind of help everybody's pain, because we all go through a lot of the issues that happen in Shot Burden. So that's kind of where it started from.
Where did you record it at? Because was that recorded at your house?
So I purchased that beat back in 2016, and I created the lyrics to it in 2017, and we recorded it. I have a feature on it and recorded it in 2017. The studio is no longer in service, so I don't really care to mention that place. Plus, they didn't really treat us well, but despite that, the energy on the track, I was just so excited to be in the studio. because at this time you got to think I had just moved to Buffalo to chase moved to Atlanta from Buffalo to chase my music dream, and I was like in my 20s at this time, and I was just geeked to finally be inside of a professional studio, and the energy just came off on the track. And this was supposed to be like a really hype song to get people, if they stressed out, if they're going through something, it was supposed to be able to get them out of whatever they was feeling and just get their mind into, yeah, we about to have a good time. We're not about to stress. We're not about to worry. So what's the best way to do that? You got to come with that energy to make people want to feel like they don't have to worry about what they got and what they're going through. I want them to hear this song and be like, you know what? Nah, we about to have a good time. We'll worry about that later. So that was the point of the track, and I had hella fun. And on top of it, JT, that was my first time working with him, and I was excited to work with him as well and get him on my track.
Okay, JT, when y'all came together to collab, did you have to get him on there financially, or was that like, hey, let me just come on and hop on this track with you right quick?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a buck. So he was like, I guess he told dude that he wanted to work with me. So he was like, I just remember when I first met him, and I went to one of his studio sessions, and he hadn't like heard me in person yet. I went to one of his studio sessions, and then he played some track. They was in there playing some track. Dang, what was it? I can't do this shit again. I can't do this shit again. I can't do this shit again is what it's about. Basically a guy being like, man, I can't do this shit again. I can't deal with it. I can't sit here and be fornicating with you again. But they keep doing the same thing. So at the end of that track, I'm like, yo, I got something. So I was like, all right. They like, oh, you gonna lay something down? And I was like, yeah. So I just start spitting what I had before I got to the mic, and they was like, oh snap. So that's kind of like his first time hearing me in person, and I had laid that down. So then he was like, yo, we got to get in the studio, and I'm like, yeah, we do. So I think we had met up again after that, and that's when we were doing it officially only for Shot Burden. And he was like, yo, what's your budget looking like? And I'm like, I don't know what that means. He's like, what's your budget looking like, Adrienne Cherrail? And I'm like, I don't know what that means. So basically, as an artist, I guess that means you got to pay. Like, he ain't doing it for free. But it was so player because he only charged me. I told him, like, man, I got $100. That's all I got. And he was like, all right. So he had took that, and then he paid the engineer for the studio session with it. So that's how that worked. And obviously, like, I bought the beat like flat out. So it's definitely mine, exclusive rights. And we just did our thing in the studio like that.
Okay. Shots Burden.
Yes, sir.
Do you write music while you're out here on the road, like doing your breaks or something like that? What does the creativity looks like for you?
Yeah, so there's many. And yes, I definitely do write while I'm on the road. So, we call it writing on the road, right? But really my style of writing is when I'm on the road, it's not obviously with a pen, or there's many different ways. So even Shot Burdens, I listened to that beat. I bought that beat in 2016. I didn't write my first lyrics until 2017 when we created it and ended up going into the studio. So that's how long ago it was. But I sat with that beat and listened to it almost daily, just vibing and getting familiar with the beat, kind of like loving on that beat. I fell in love with that beat. So sometimes it'll just be that. Like, I'll vibe and be writing out, Ubering or trucking and listen to an instrumental or multiple instrumentals, and whatever moves my soul in that moment. I might just start mumbling something till I come up with a dope rhythm, and then I'll repeat it over and over and over again. I might repeat the same bar 20 times until I got it memorized, and then I'll go on and repeat another bar too, and I'll keep going over it another 20, 30 times. You got a few hours before you get to your destination in trucking. You might be driving for 8 hours. I might be vibing out to a beat and just keep going and repeating the same thing until I got the flow the way that I want it. And before I know, I got a whole 16 bars, a chorus, and I'm on the next verse. Or sometimes I'll have a whole song done just for me getting from one destination on from New York all the way to Wisconsin. I'll be done with a whole song. And at that point, I'll pull out my phone and I'll record while I'm driving. Like, I'll just record a rough draft of me singing it. And it's not to make anything perfect. It's just to remember the rhythm, because I can rap something for so many hours and then come back to it, get out the truck, go get some lunch, come back to it and be like, dang, I know I said this, but I forgot the rhythm or the cadence I said it in. So in order to forget that, because I hate when that happens, I'll just record myself giving all the energy in a certain specific rhythm or cadence so that way I can come back to it. And then maybe later on, I might write it all down so that when I'm in the studio, just in case, I want to read it while I write, or read it while I'm speaking it out or whatever. But yeah, most of the time for me, the best music comes from when I'm in pain. So it goes back into everything, with this life. If I feel hurt by something or just extremely hurt and sad, that usually is where my best music comes from. And if there's a beat that speaks to my soul, oh yeah, that's a hit.
Okay. Shots burning. When y'all hear this, y'all gonna fall in love with it. Y'all gonna just be like, oh, okay, we're gonna have to fuck with Adrienne Cherrail. AC,
yeah, everybody.
AC the mogul, yes. All right, so AC, listen. I know there being a truck driver is kind of stressful. It's struggles in everything, but truck driving just makes it 100% more for women than anything else. Are there places or stretches of the highway that's particularly out here now that's inspiring more music for you while you drive?
Oh yeah. I would say, honestly, when I'm OTR, the best stretch of road for me that I feel inspired by is when I don't have to think about where I'm going. So if I'm on that 70 and I done got past the Chicago area and I'm shooting straight out to Colorado or something like that, I don't have to think. You just going straight for another 400, 500, 600, 700 miles. So for me, that is like gold for creativity. You're not dealing with much traffic, no congestion. You just on a stretch, going straight, blasting music. You don't got to think too much. There's nobody in front of you. That right there is like the zone. That's really the zone for me. Anytime I can get on a stretch like that and just bump some instrumentals, and especially if I'm moody or if I'm in a mood about something, yeah, I would say that. But as far as being local, anytime I can get that any stretch, even if it's just if I can just go 40 minutes without traffic, that's a good look for me to set up an instrumental. As far as inspiration goes on the road, again, it just goes back to the times where I feel like I just want to get away and I put on an instrumental and I just want to ride out. But there's not really much local in Atlanta that I feel inspired by as far as driving, just those stretches of road.
All right, so being a female truck driver out here, this isn't the life for most people, especially females. What's something about trucking lifestyle that you think that most people don't understand from a female perspective?
I spoke about being uncomfortable in one of my videos on my channel that took off. It got like 80,000 views. I spoke of being uncomfortable when it would be time for me to get out of my truck just to take care of my basic needs. So to get out and get vitamin D every day. So I am deficient in that. So I absolutely need as much sunlight as possible. So in order for me to get out and exercise and take a walk, because I struggle with obesity as well, just those are basic needs that I need, and getting healthy food, right? So we know that that's always a challenge. But in trucking particularly, it's even more so, because not only are you dealing with the regular challenges, but I'm in new environments every day. So I'm walking at truck stops. I'm walking around truck stops, around the perimeter of Love's or the perimeter of Petro or Pilot daily, trying to make sure that I'm doing it before the sunlight goes down. And as a female, a Black female in America, I might be in Wisconsin. I might be somewhere where there's no Black people at all, let alone Black women. I might be in a place where I'm just the only Black female and there's other men. So I'm always looked at and stared at. And it's always noticeable that I don't have a male with me. So that protection that I feel, so guys won't look at you twice when I had a male trainer with me. But by myself, walking around a truck stop, or just even walking, going to the truck stop, I'm getting stared or double thing in the world. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I think most people don't understand, even if you are beautiful and even if you are overweight, men know beauty. And if there's a shortage of women and you're pretty much, if you go in a truck stop and there's only 2 women in there, all eyes is going to go to those 2 women. you going to look like steak. It don't matter, especially if you feminine like me. And I know that I'm beautiful. So you're going to look like steak. And I had people comment and say, in the real world, man, she ain't even all of that. And she talking about dudes be looking at her and staring at her and making her feel uncomfortable. Oh, her body looked like this, or she looked like a linebacker. Like, I've had some really rude and disrespectful comments, but this is coming from worldly people who see women every day, right? But if you're in that environment, what I think most people don't understand is I'm still cream of the crop for my environment. If I'm out here on this road, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm out here on this road. There's not a lot of feminine females that's doing OTR. I mean, I'm sure there is now, but even if it is, it's not as many. It's going to be more men than women, and most of the time you're going to look like steak. So not only in that understanding in that way, but also the protection, and then not knowing, if guys are looking at you because they're attracted to you, are some of these people rapists? Do they want to attack you? Are they racist? Do they not like your kind here? So it's like, that's uncomfortable.
So these truck stops out here, you say you try to get your exercise in and you try to do what you need to do to make sure you keep yourself safe and everything. And of course, men out here, they look at women as pieces of meat and stuff like that. I get it. I understand it. As a woman in a traditionally male-dominated industry, first, before I ask you this question, how do you keep yourself safe in areas that you're not familiar with or in areas that you've never been to before?
To come into a truck stop and feel like I don't want nobody to know that it's a woman in this truck, the first thing I would do is back into a truck stop and close my shades, my blinds, and I would not get out of my truck because I don't want them to know that I'm a woman alone. The best thing that I would do, the smartest or the most wisest thing I would do outside of prayer, right, is walking like I'm smart. So that means when I pull into a truck stop, even if it's dark outside or it looks like it's gonna start getting dark soon, and even if I know I need exercise and haven't gotten it yet, if I pull into a truck stop around 5 p.m., I'll just close my shades and stay in my truck. So I'm talking about as soon as I pull into a truck stop that late, I'll just park and I'll close my shades immediately and lock my doors. I do not want anyone to know that there's a woman in the truck. Most of the time, they're going to assume that these are men in these trucks. So that's the first thing that I would do. I don't want them looking at me. I don't want nobody to know who's in this truck. So they assume that it's a man. This way, I'm not even bothered. So that means if I have to go to the restroom, I'm going to the restroom in my truck. If I have to get water, my water is already in my truck. If I need to work out that night, I have an exercise video that I'm following, or I have dumbbells in there or a stepper in there to where I'm just working out in my truck. So, even though I might need that vitamin D, I'll just wait until the next morning. And if I'm going to work out and if I'm going to shower or whatever I'm going to do, I'll wait until it's daylight or at least early enough around 2 or 3 o'clock, no later than 2 or 3 p.m. to where I will go in there and shower and do all of my things. But most of the time, if I go shower and I work out, like if I'm walking around a truck stop, everybody's already seen me. And it's less people during the day anyway. But if everybody's already seen me walking around, like I say, I'll work out, go take a shower, and then I'm leaving. I'm in a whole nother state by the evening. So then I go back to the same, it's like by the time y'all notice that I'm here, I'm going to shower and I'm pulling off and I'm finishing my route. So that's kind of how I would play it. Yeah, that's normally how I would play it. I just, like I say, go to a truck stop. If it's late, do what I got to do inside my truck. Wait till the morning, do everything in the morning. By the time I'm noticed, I'm pulling off and I'm going to whatever state to finish my route.
You're already gone, like Kaiser Soze. My man said, listen. Before you even notice, he's gone.
And like that, he's gone.
Exactly.
AC, what unique perspective do you bring to both trucking and your music?
Okay. I think God, for one. I consider God. I know Shot Burdens is not talking, it's talking about taking shots, right? So it doesn't really come off as something that's godly. But if you listen to that song, it's very slim to none. Nobody hears curse words in that song. It's not talking about having sex in my vagina, and I'm popping my butt everywhere. So it's like I try to be conscious about even what I'm saying, and also even though it's conscious because I'm talking about life problems, I try to make the music that don't feel like it's kind of give them what they need, but in a way that they want it type of vibe. So I say that is more realistic for me as far as music goes. I like to rap about genuine, authentic things that's happening. And then as far as trucking goes, the same thing, just being grateful, but what unique perspective do I bring to trucking? Again, just telling it from a Black woman's perspective. That's basically what I would say, just inspiring other people to get out there and do whatever it is. And, my life is male dominated. Like, I'm doing everything from a male dominated perspective. The music is rapping, right? That's male dominated. The trucking is male dominated.
Hold on. What's going on, guys? I just want to stop the video right here, right quick. If you guys made it this far into the video and you guys like what you're hearing, go ahead and hit that like button for me, bro. Hit that like button. It's free. It's free. If you made it this far into the video, man, make sure you hit that like button. It's right up under the video, man. And if you guys like more content like this, consider, okay? Y'all got two options. Well, one, but two options. You can either subscribe for the channel for more, and if you really want to rock with me and get the videos early, make sure you join the channel. All right, shout outs to all my members of the channel that rocks with your man. Thank you very much. Now let's get back to the show. AC the Mogul, her song Shots burning up the internet airwaves right now. Guys, make sure you go and vote for this young lady so she can win the grand prize, which is $20K. I don't know if that's money, but whatever it is,
yes, sir.
It's a lot.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot. This is. So the voting information will be in the description below. AC, during your trucking journey, I'm sure you came across a lot of situations. You touched on a few in our conversation already, but what's been your memorable experience on the road thus far?
My most memorable experience on the road thus far, I honestly would say I got two. I would say Utah is beautiful. Utah is Salt Lake City, Utah is like the most beautiful. It's heavenly. Passed through there and could not stop myself, like mouth wide open, had to pull over on the highway and just take the scenery in several times when I would pass through there. So I would say that's my most memorable. It just looks heavenly. And then also the trainer that I had when I was with Prime Inc., he was one of the most memorable. I still talk to him to this day. He was one that did not try to assault me sexually or harass me. He was very respectful and loving and God-fearing. So I would say those are my most memorable experiences being on the road, where I felt the safest and the most blessed.
All right. So, yeah, guys, if you want to know more about AC's trucking journey, definitely check out the conversations that we had throughout the years. It will be some links to our conversations in the description below. AC the Mogul. All right. So listen, every female rapper, every female R&B artist, they got their own styles, their own vibe. How would you describe your musical style to someone who hasn't even heard your work yet?
I would say real, like a relatable real, like one of your friends, like somebody you know, your cousin, your sister, your auntie, real, like people, I'm going to tell you what's going on in my life. And you're going to be able to relate to it because most likely you going through it, or you've been through it, or you about to go through it, or your mama went through it, or your daddy went through it, or you know somebody that's in the same situation, or everybody in your family that you know went through it. Because a lot of us come from the same place. So, and I'm not talking about, when I say that, I'm not talking about the facade that a lot of us females want to rap about, even males. I'm not talking about the facade of shaking that ass and throwing some cash and put this on them and F that nigga. And I'm not talking about that. That's the biggest difference. I'm not talking about showing what I got. I'm talking about life experiences, heartbreaks, things that I've been through and how I got through them. Stuff that's going to hit your soul. That's the difference between me and people that's out there now.
Okay. That's what's up. Now, I'm about to tell you, not only you that I listen to, but there's other females. The mainstream females, I'm not all that interested in. I'm not interested in the Ceci Reds or anybody like that. Now, I came up with the females that was in the rap game back in the day. I came up with MC Light. I came up with Queen Latifah. I came up with with ladies like that. A lot of old school females are some inspirations to some new school artists. Which artists or songwriters have influenced you, if any?
First, I think I would say outside of God, because all of this stuff is in the Bible, right? All of our struggles and stuff. But first, I would say Lauryn Hill. She was somebody that didn't have to come off sexually, and she spoke wisdom in her music, and I loved that and was inspired and moved by that. So I'd say her at the top of the list for me. And then there's other influences. You know, there was Timberland, which I would like to just give him some credit, not only because he was ill with the beats and getting you into the mood or whatever it is, and Missy Elliott. You can't mention Timberland without Missy Elliott. So I would say them for sure. Missy for her uniqueness and also not having to come in there and lead with sex. Even though she did have some music that was sexual, it was not leading with that. It was like, you got to think about, is she talking about sock it to me like you want it? What's she talking about? You got to figure it out. It wasn't like just thrown at you vulgarly. So it was creativity to that. And then she also, being a bigger woman, I love that, you know, that didn't hold her back. And then Timberland, I wanted to bring him up, obviously, not only because of the beats, but I wanted to mention that I am going to leave links for you guys to vote for me to be featured on one of his albums and win maybe $30,000 cash. So I did sign up and get approved for that. I sent Shop Burdens in. He approved it. So there's also a voting poll open for me to win that as well.
Okay, Beat Club. Okay, now let me tell you, Timberland is not your average producer. That dude can take anything and make it into a beat. Yeah. So congratulations with that, and hopefully getting the beat from Timberland and working with him it looks like should be a dream come true, but should be something that you definitely looking forward to in the future if it's possible, right?
It would be a dream come true. It's just a voting process right now. So, you know, like I say, the John Lennon Songwriting Contest, I've already won one grand prize, and I'm in the running for the other two prizes. But Timberland, I haven't won anything yet outside of the opportunity to get votes and hopefully move on with enough votes to the next level. So the fact that he's also offering more money, he's offering $30,000. He's also offering for you to get flown out to him, get in the studio with him, and be featured on his album. So that would absolutely be a dream come true for me. So yeah, please vote. Please vote for me on both of those. And it's an everyday vote as well. Both of them are everyday votes in the month of April.
All right, guys, man, Shots Burden. She already won grand prize for the John Lennon Songwriting Contest. So congratulations for that. She's in the running for another $2,000 worth of equipment. So we definitely need to get her in the running and win. Make sure we get her to win. So AC, beyond Shots Burden, which song in your repertoire are you most proud of and why?
I could probably, there's three that just came to mind, and most of them are unheard. One of them is about God, and it's ill. Like, it's ill. Like, the way that I flow is ill. I haven't even recorded that one yet. So I would say that one, but I wrote it in 2021. So that's coming. And then and when I say it's ill, let me just say it's ill not only because of the flow and the cadence of the lyrics, but because the beat is so fire. You would think that I'm rapping in a style that's secular, but it's not. It's all talking about God. So that one I think I'm most proud of. And then one that I say that I have recorded right now that I'm getting ready to release, I just got to get it mixed down first, is one talking about my breakup that I had over a year ago. The song is poetic, is heart, is, you know, it's not dissing or down anybody, but it's definitely raw and speaking on, it's just taking a look inside of that heartbreak and why that happened and how I received it in a way that's not saddening. It's balanced. So it's not just saddening, but it's also just kind of level-headed, just telling you what happened, and whatever you get from that is relatable. So I say that one is one of my most proud ones as well. And I had one other, but I can't think of it right now.
Just listening to you and having this beautiful conversation with you, showing your growth in music and in trucking. How do you balance your trucking career with your music ambitions?
So it's like I really have to be intentional about that. I have to be intentional about recording and writing and purchasing beats that I feel inspired by, because I do have the music production degree, but I'm not very good at producing. That's not really my forte. I'm more of a songwriter, recording artist than I am a producer. I could string some beats along. I could string some things along to make a beat, like some loops, but that's not my specialty. So I would say being intentional about letting people that's great at something do that. So I would purchase from them, even if it costs me, which means I need this trucking money to be able to fund the music. I would purchase my studio time when I know I'm not perfect at recording. Like I can record myself, but I'm not professional. So still paying somebody else who is good at that, which means I need that trucking money. I need that trucking career. So the balance would come into just writing when I don't have the money. If I know I'm struggling this month and I got all these bills, maybe I just focus on writing. I focus on perfecting the lyrics. Maybe I'll just go to an open mic and I get content of me recording myself performing. And then when I get that check that gives me, $30-$40, I can go into a studio and record. And then I might get another check a month or two later where I can actually purchase the beat. So it's a very slow burn, but I think just being intentional about where you are and realistic, like looking exactly what you have and what you can do. If you ain't got the money, you could still make some music, even if you ain't bought the beat yet. You get what I'm saying? You can still write. So it's about that, like using what you got in that moment to like do whatever you could do, even if it's just making content for your channel before you finish the song. I would say, can I get better at it?
Side note, since you mentioning everything about the procedure, the process of getting the beat, writing the songs and stuff like that, how do you go by making sure that you connect with the right people? Because it's a lot of scams out here. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. It's scams in trucking. It's scams in the music industry. How do you go by choosing the right people that's going to help you when you purchase the beat? How when you purchase the beat, they're not going to turn around and be like, oh, okay, you purchase 1 iota of the beat and the rest of the beat is mine. Or if you write a song and you send it in for somebody to hear, and then all of a sudden you don't hear nothing back from them, because this happened to like rappers, singers and stuff like that they'll give their song or they'll give their idea to somebody in the music, and then next thing they will hear their music or their ideas being sung by somebody else. How do you make sure that you don't fall in that trap?
Well, I say that I would say wisdom and discernment. Ask God for wisdom and discernment. That's first off, because we're going to be using the same way that we talked about trucking and how you move there. You still going to move with wisdom and discernment in this area as well. You're not just about to be mindlessly, doing things. So like, for instance, this songwriting competition, I did Google, songwriting competitions for money. How could I, what are the best songwriting competitions for money? Now you're going to scheme through that, skim through all of it. You're going to read as much as possible. You're going to look up reviews. You're going to go on YouTube. You're going to see what people are saying. Have people actually won? You get what I'm saying? You're going to read the fine details. You're going to go to the content contest rules page, and you're going to read all, I don't care if it's 3 pages. You're going to read the full pages, and you're going to make sure that it's not trying to say they're going to own your music after or anything in there that stands out to you. You're going to use discernment and wisdom, and it's going to let you know whether you need to apply to that or not. And is this legit? What kind of company is this? How long have they been doing it? You just do your due diligence and your research in that. And then as far as the beat goes, the same way. A lot of the time I go on YouTube, I might type in type beat, but under that type beat, you'll see someone leave a link to their website. And most of the time it's a site that I already use, which might be BeatStars. Or BeatStars, I think, is the biggest one that a lot of professional beat makers, they'll put it on BeatStars. And when you go into their BeatStars website, you'll be able to see a list of all the beats that they have, the contracts, whether you want to just download it for free and use it. And what does that contract entail? Me, I like to go into not just leasing, but exclusive leases, where you can exclusively lease that beat and you can use it for profit and use, but you want to make sure you read all of the fine details on that page. A lot of these producers just use templates. So what happened with Shop Burdens was I purchased that beat as a lease back in 2016, but I was only able to lease it And in the contract details, which I never received it up until recently, I went because I entered this contest and it's very professional, the John Lennon Songwriting Contest. I had to actually pay attention to that. And when I read it, I realized he only used the template. A lot of the information wasn't filled in. Some of it said you cannot use it for profit. You cannot use it for some type of communication profit. You can only use it for one performance. So like you have to really look and pay attention to the fine details. It was a clause in there that stated if the producer wants to revoke your rights to the beat at any time, he could. There was a clause in there that said he gets 100% song credit. So once I looked and I read that entire contract, I revised it and I wrote everything in the contract that I wanted it to say and how much I wanted him to get paid and how much I want to get paid. And that's where my intellect, with the music production degree does come in handy, because now I'm behind the scenes working and wearing these hats. So then I sent him that email and he looks over everything and it makes complete common sense. And then what did he do? He revised the entire contract to be what I needed it to be. And then I paid him for exclusive rights to the beat. So before you make an exclusive offer, you need to make sure that contract is going to be typed up and drafted to be exactly what you need. You don't want nothing to bite you in the butt, later on down the road. So that's what I would say. Don't rush into it. The beat is fire, but make sure that paperwork behind it is too.
So to touch on to what you just said, as far as making sure that paperwork, guys, I keep telling y'all, when it comes to trucking, you should always read that handbook. Don't just go in there and be like, oh yeah, I'm a truck driver now and this company, this. No, just like she said, you have to read the paperwork when it comes to music. You have to read the paperwork when it comes to trucking. Now listen, you mentioned paperwork and how everything needs to be done with a fine-tooth comb. A lot of these music artists back in the day got in messed up contracts and messed up situations because of the fact that they didn't read their contract right. You live in Atlanta. Have any artists, or have you came across any type of reality shows? Because I know some of these shows, they look for artists as well, and they get hemmed up and messed up contracts as well. Have anybody reached out to you or something like that? And what is your thoughts on the fact that these artists be hemmed up in these messed up contracts?
No, I haven't. I've seen celebrities, but I haven't actually seen or heard anybody talk about a contract they've been in that hasn't been beneficial to them, or they feel like they got juked or did wrong over it. I haven't ran into that. And what do I think about that? I think that, we know better, we do better. If I would have got signed 20 years ago, that's impossible because I'm young. I'm young, but if I would have got signed back in the day when all those people like Jay-Z and all those people had all these lawyers looking at their contracts, it probably could have happened to me too, because knowledge is power. We're in the phase of information right now. So you could just literally go and take that contract, whatever they give you, and put it in ChatGPT and tell it, hey, is there anything in here that I tell it what you don't want it to say? Hey, I don't want it to be this, and this, and this. You got to be smart about it. We got to be independent and take it into our own hands, not just leaving it with a lawyer. So that's what I would say now. It's just a part of doing due diligence. They didn't have that back in the day, or they didn't know better back in the day. They didn't know what to look for, but we do. Know
better, do better. That's what's up. AC the Mogul, y'all. Make sure you go and vote for her song, Shots Burden. The link will be in the description below. Let's help her win that $20K grand prize and move on and be part of Timberland. So we're going to need you to vote for that one too, as well. Yeah. Listen, AC, speaking of winning, has winning this John Lennon Award changed your professional goals or plans?
Man, yes. I can't really say change, and I will say change because it inspires me. It motivates me to want to continue. It motivates me to not want to give up. So yeah, it changed in that way. It was something tangible to say, yo, you won. Out of thousands of people that interested, these people don't know you, so it's unbiased. Shot Burdens is a hit, period. It don't matter who hears it or what. The energy translates through the song. You can't help but white people, black people, Asian people. I Uber and let hundreds of people hear this song, all different age ranges, and everybody rocks with it. So that right there is an international. It don't matter if they barely speak English. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Can I download it? So that right there, it made me feel like, yo, you just got something tangible for a gift that you did on your own. You know, I had JT featured on it, but I'm saying this started before I met him. So that right there in my heart is intangible, and it makes me want to keep going. I'm an award-winning songwriter now, an award-winning songwriter.
All right, award-winning songwriter. We're going to make sure you get that Grammy as well, man.
Yes, sir.
What's next for you both on the road and in music?
On the road, I'm going to be doing 2 things. I got JB Hunt from my local position. I'm on the leave from them right now. And I'm actually in the process of getting hired at Rail, Roehl, I think it's pronounced. As of today, I spoke to a recruiter and she told me I could start on Monday as long as I go take this drug test today. So I'm about to start and get on the road with Rail for the next couple months and do some OTR. And then, you know, I'm a mother. So during the summer, I'm going to go back to JB Hunt and do my local thing. That's what's next for the road. And then for music, you already know, stay tuned to my channel, AC the Mogul, and my music channel, Adrienne Cherrail, where I'm going to be posting updates, performances, or do some live performances. And obviously the contest that I'm in, God willing, I win this $20,000 for John Lennon, and that'll give me more money to buy more beats and continue making music and put out potentially an EP and a listening party. And then God willing, let me win this Timberland $30,000 and get on one of his songs. Oh my gosh, my social media gonna blow up, and I'm telling you. Right. That just means I'll be able to touch more people with my music. So that's the goal. That's the plan.
Adrienne, listen. I want to just be the first to say, guys, when she blow up, just like Doechii, I'm sure she's not going to forget me. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I dang sure can't. I can't do that.
I'm just saying.
I gotta invite you. I'm gonna have to invite you.
Listen, AC. With all this recognition, with shots burdened and everything, what type of follow up that you got in the works?
A song called "Let You Go." Probably be putting that out. That's the one about the ex right there. It's called "Let You Go." That's the next one that's going to be coming up, and it's a different vibe. Shot burden. The same, again, because it's talking about real life issues, you know, in some form of heartbreak, but it's not that high energy vibe. It's more of a poetic, soulful, kind of like hip hop soul, rap soul type of vibe. So I think that'll be the next one that I put out there.
I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to chat with you again. It's always a vibe when me and you get on the line and we talk with each other. AC the Mogul, y'all, what advice would you give to other truck drivers who might have creative passions they haven't yet pursued? Have faith at the grain of a mustard seed and pray and read your Bible, because even it talks about the parable of the talents, there was some, to keep it short, there was a few, I'm paraphrasing, a few of the servants that was given talent, each according to their gifts. And one went off and buried the talent. One went off and doubled the talent. And one went off and like quadrupled the talent. All of them came back. And the two that did well, they were, you know, one was pretty much praised. And the one that buried it, he basically was, you know, he had what he had taken from him and he was cast away. He had what he had taken from him and gave to somebody else. He basically squandered his talent. So don't be the one that squandered the talent. And that's what I tell myself. You know, I got all these gifts in myself, rapping, songwriting, singing, and then some. What a shame it would be to just bury it and nobody, you know, heard anything. So even if you're not even doing it for fame or YouTube or to be heard or seen, just do it for yourself and do it for God. Like, look at it like this is something that God put in me and this is something I'm inspirational about. I don't care if nobody really vibes to it. I just want to say I did this and put this out there. So when I leave this earth, somebody I love can come back and be like, yo, remember when he did this? So that's what I would say. Just put yourself out there and have some faith. Me just having faith that I could possibly win if I enter a competition. And now look, I freaking won almost in the whole next year. So that's what I would say. We don't know what's going to happen. Just drop a seed of faith and see if it grows or not, and keep dropping those seeds if that's what you're passionate about.
I'm not about to worry about your problems today. Adrienne Cherrail. Hey, there's so many battles on my left and my right. Take a shot for all of your problems. I ain't worried about them tonight. It's called shot burden. Take a shot for all your burden.